Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in Colourful Illusions' new series. In this series, we are going to be connecting with fellow interviewees and asking them how they have been coping through COVID-19 and in what ways have they been able to successfully implement their business virtually. So today we have with us Miss Nicky Dawkins. Thank you for joining us. Now, for some of you who are not familiar with her story, Nicky was featured in our last season, and she is a full spectrum doula that specializes in postpartum. So Nicky, how are you?
I'm hanging in there.
I know.
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good as we can be in these weird and trying times. So, of course, the first question that's on everyone's minds, what is life like as a doula during this whole quarantine social distancing era?
Well, it's definitely challenging. The work hasn't really slowed down because birth doesn't stop for a pandemic. So that's kind of the benefit, is that we're all still kind of working. However, the way that we work has definitely changed because I'm full spectrum. So I work with women from the very beginning. I do prenatal fitness. I do a lot of workshops, a lot of hands-on stuff with them. So it's definitely been a challenge to do that virtually, just because I'm very touchy-feely and I want to comfort, and we can't really do that because we have to play it safe, especially because we have two lives at risk, the mom and the baby. But it's definitely a little bit challenging. I definitely have those days where I just cry or I just feel like really, really bad that I can't fully do my job, because our work is about touch. It's about being there, connecting with people's energy. So yeah.
I know it must be very frustrating. I definitely understand. What have you been doing to help with your own mental as well? Because that's very important throughout these times.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga. I've been doing a lot of gardening. I have a 4-year-old son who I'm also homeschooling, which has been really the most challenging part about it, is to work with him there. And he's very active and talkative, and he loves people. So he likes to jump into my meetings and be a part of my fitness classes. And everyone thinks it's really cute. But for me, I'm just like, I'm trying to work. So it's hard, but I think I just kind of been doing a lot of journaling, just little things like that to kind of get my space, not watching too much of the news, and also allowing myself to do things that I normally wouldn't do, like binge watch reality shows, which is not my thing, but I've been really enjoying that. So yeah, those are kind of like my self-care tactics.
I think those are really good strategies, especially the not watching the news thing, which I've been implementing recently. And it's literally like a sense of peace, because everything on the news is just so negative these days. So, and I'm all for binge watching. What have you been watching so far?
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't really have cable. But I did take advantage of all the like free Sling and like programs that people have been putting out. So I have gotten back into watching The Housewives, which I'm like, girl. So I fall into the housewife trap again and like caught up on all the seasons that I've missed in the past year because I don't have cable. And then I've gotten into the whole 90-Day Fiance thing like everyone else. I totally went hard on Tiger King. I binge watched it twice because I just could not believe it. So yeah, I've definitely become like a bit of a little TV junkie, which I'm not really happy about. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know what? It's okay. I'm still doing my work. I'm still doing what I need to do. And it's kind of relaxing to just watch other people's lives for a little bit. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. Not the best.
Welcome to the dark side. I am an avid TV binger. I watch it all the time, and it's so great. So great. So with your clients, have you been able to meet with any of them in person at all, or has it all been strictly social distance, like virtual?
I have been able to kind of meet with my clients slightly in person. I was able to take on a few new clients even during this time, because a lot of moms do want to make that switch to a home birth or a birthing center, or also just want better preparation for birthing in the hospital on their own. So I've been doing virtual, but I've had some that I've met in person, and I do have goodie bags, so I've been able to drop those off. I also did a Mask for Moms project with the Design Lab, where these teenage girls basically stitched and made masks for pregnant moms. We did some for Lotus House. I did some for my clients. Yeah, so I was had them come and pick those up. So I kind of got to see people. I am stepping back out a little bit in June. I'm kind of doing some one-on-ones, case-by-case basis, postpartum work and stuff like that. So I've had a little bit of interaction with my clients. Most of them want to see me, like they want that energy and stuff, which is good. But I've still been wearing my mask and keeping the distance like I'm supposed to. I just visited with one of my clients a couple weekends ago just to check out her baby room because she's doing a home birth and her setup. So it was really nice to just be with my moms again and just get to see her belly and touch her belly, and all of that was awesome. So I'm looking forward to June and hoping that things get better, at least for a little bit, so we can kind of interact more. Yeah.
And when you do get to actually see these moms one-on-one, how are they doing? Because I know for some, pregnancy already is such a stressful time. And then having the addition of a worldwide pandemic, how are they doing? How are they managing their stress?
Oh man, I mean, every client is different. I have some clients who, they're with their partner, so they do have company. Some of them are getting on each other's nerves. Some of them are doing great. And then I have some moms who are kind of on their own, and that can be really lonely for them, not to have anyone support them and having to kind of get groceries and do all those things on their own with a pregnant belly. So each case is a little bit different. For the most part, everyone seems to be doing okay. I think there is a lot of stress, especially for my hospital moms mostly. My home birth moms and birthing center moms, not so much, because everything is pretty much the same for the most part. But my hospital moms, definitely more stress. They're definitely worried about, catching COVID in the hospital and things like that. I think is a big stress factor for them, and stress during pregnancy is not good. So my goal with them is just to educate them as much as possible, try and make them feel calm. For my moms who don't have a partner, I do get to go to the hospital with them, which is awesome. So I'll still be there for them. But yeah, for the most part, so far everyone seems like they're adjusting okay. I think sometimes they're crazy. They can't be as active as they want to be either. It's also very hot right now, so even going outside is a lot, but for the most part, everyone's okay. So far, so good.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that they're good. They've been adjusting. Now, I wanted to talk about the hospital aspect of it because, like you said, a lot of hospitals have limited to one visitor. So what does labor look like during a pandemic? Because I can't imagine going into labor and not having my partner there, my mom there.
Well, I think the key right now is to get the moms to labor at home for as long as possible. That's kind of the goal, is to get them to the hospital when they're in active labor, not prodromal, not early, you know what I mean? Not where they're gonna have to be in the hospital waiting for hours, just to really get them there closer to when they're about to give birth. And also I've made a required partner training now for my partners or my dads or whatever your partner is, so that way they can be prepared and kind of take my place basically. So that's something that I've been implementing really hard. I don't like to do it until it's closer to the birth because sometimes our partners are forgetful. So I like the information to be fresh for them. But that's definitely been a big part of my service now, is prepping the partner, the person who's actually going to be at the hospital. But yeah, it's very stressful. I think most of the hospitals now in South Florida are just allowing one partner. I know one hospital was kind of hanging on to the doula thing for a while, but they've kind of let that go now. I would really like that to be changed. I think that doulas are a big part of the birth team, and we should be in there just as much as the nurses and doctors. So that's definitely something that I would like to advocate for more and potentially start a petition for. I know they did this in New York. Actually, Latham is one of the main leaders of this movement and making sure that partners aren't birthing alone, etc. And I know in New York, they're actually working on allowing doulas to come with the partner as well. So it will be 2 people. And I would love to see that happen here in Florida. So that's definitely something I plan to try and do in the next month or 2, if it doesn't change.
That's amazing. And I think that's so important, especially as a doula, having an additional person there to advocate for the person, to know their rights and to be able to be like their guardian angel. So I wish you nothing but success, and let me know how I can help with that petition and spread the word.
You're helping now. I'm helping right now by doing this video and this interview, just putting the information out there. So I appreciate that.
No problem. No problem. And so during this time, have any of your mommies gone into labor during this time? Have you had any birthing?
Not yet. My mom, I actually have two moms due in June next month.
Oh,
One will be a hospital birth, one is a birthing center birth. So it will be my first COVID hospital experience, really being there, because this is a mom who's she doesn't have a partner, so I will be there with her. I haven't had to deal with the hospital birth so far. I do mostly home births. That is most of what I get. But hospital births are definitely going to be a little bit different and tricky. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go. I do think there's some things that people need to realize, because they're doing the testing before you get to the hospital. This is what I found out. And sometimes you have to wait for the results, and it might take up to 4 hours. So you might have a mom there in labor, you know what I mean, for 4 hours.
They'll just leave them there, like they won't admit them in?
No, yeah. So that's, another thing that I'm trying to figure out how we're going to navigate that. I'm working on that actually this week, just to get all that information so that way we're prepared and I don't have to wait. I'm trying to actually see if I can get tested like beforehand, so we can just avoid all of that. But I know that all the hospitals are doing the fever scan and all the basic checks for everyone to come in. So we'll see how it goes. I'll definitely let you know what happens.
Yes, please keep us posted. And in terms of like when the mom does give birth, I mean, are they still allowed to hold the baby? Like, has that procedure changed at all?
Yeah, from what I hear, as long as there's no, issues, you're allowed to hold the baby. You're allowed to be with the baby. I'm not sure how long. I believe the partner can stay with you until you leave the hospital. Because I know there was some controversy around that at one point, where they were asking the partners to leave like really soon after the mom gave birth, but now they're actually allowed to stay with them until they get, dismissed from the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a plus. As far as the doulas, I'm not sure how that will go for me, because I'm not, her partner. I'm her doula, so I'm not sure if they will ask me to leave sooner, or if I will be allowed to stay with her a little bit longer. So we'll see what happens. I do know once you go in the hospital, you can't leave. There's no in and out. So we just have to make sure we have everything that we need. Yes, and that includes snacks and food and all of those things. So it's a different preparation for sure.
Definitely. And in worst case scenario, if someone does have the virus and they are in active labor, I mean, what then does the hospital do? Will they have them deliver the baby, or how does that work?
Yeah, from what I know, I mean, I haven't heard of any cases down here yet, but I did hear that, even if the mom tests positive for COVID, they're still in labor, a baby has to come, like there's no stopping that. They just have to take precautions. Mom has to wear a mask. I'm not sure how that looks for mom after. Right now, they're saying that they don't think it can be passed through breastfeeding. They're also saying that it's not in the placenta, which is good, because I know at one point they weren't, because, I'm into the placenta encapsulation and keeping your placenta after if you can. And I know some hospitals were not allowing like body parts to leave at all. But they are now, from what I know. Some of them are still allowed to do it, and what I know is that the COVID isn't in the placenta. I think there's still so much research to be done all around all this stuff. Everything is so new, like new information is happening every day. So I think that's the scary part about it, is that you kind of just you don't really know.
Right.
We kind of have to try and do our best and go with the flow the way that we already do know, and hope that nothing happens.
So as a doula, what are some tips that you give your moms, especially the ones that are preparing for their delivery date next month? How do you get them to manage that stress and to manage those scary thoughts of the what if?
Yeah, the scary thoughts are real. I think it varies, because the moms that have already, because there's some moms that are kind of running from the hospital, and that's like a fear-based run, because most of the moms who want to do birthing center or home birth, they already have that in their mind as an option that they want to do. So for those moms, the switch is not as big of a deal. It's kind of like, oh, well, this was something I wanted to do anyways, and now it seems like the better option, so I'm going to do that. But for a lot of moms who already had that hospital birth in mind, and just that's what they're going to do, they know they're going to have, medication and interventions and stuff like that, switching them off of that for the ones who now want to do home births and stuff is really, really difficult. difficult because that's just not where your mind was. And a lot of those moms are coming to us very late, like they're doing 6 weeks or less. And they're like, oh, I just don't want to, give birth in the hospital. And that's very fear-based. It's not really because they want it. It's because they're just afraid. And and we don't like birth in fear. Like, that's not our thing. We don't want people birthing in fear. So I feel like those moms are the ones that we kind of have to work with and maybe let them kind of still go with their hospital birth, but prepare them better. And like some of the tips that I give moms is just to make sure you call the hospital in advance, figure out what they're doing. And if you have a doula like me, I'll do this for you. Figure out what's going on with the hospital, what their regulations are, how soon you need to get there, how long you're going to have to wait. If you do have to get tested or they have to do the screening, also find out like what the room situation is looking at, like how many people are in the hospital, how many moms are in the hospital, and then just having your birth bag prepared with everything you need. Because like I said, once you're in there, you can't leave, your partner can't leave and come back, people can't come and bring you anything. So you really need to make sure you're checking off your list with everything that you need. Make sure you're bringing some snacks for yourself as well. And then if you're having like some virtual support, I always suggest that you get the equipment that you need, which is something like this that you can prop up, because you don't want to be like giving birth like, hey girl, it's my cervix. Like, you don't want to be doing that. So, just prepping them with things like this, like get yourself a stand, make sure you have your phone charger, make sure your phone is charged, check the Wi-Fi in the hospital if you're going to need the virtual support. And then mentally, I just tell my moms to just, you can only control what you can control. So you have to try and meditate. You have to try and relax your mind and remind yourself that even though you might be feeling alone, you're not alone. There are tons of other moms in the same situation as you, and panicking about it is not going to make your birth process any easier. And I know it's natural for us to stress about these things because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And it definitely changes the way that you thought things were going to be. But you just kind of have to adjust and you have to relax. And you have to just kind of know that it's still going to happen. You're still going to have your baby. You have to take all the precautions, have your mask, play it safe. Don't panic. Like, still do those relaxing things that make you feel good. You can still bring your essential oils and your aromatherapy, your hypnobirthing tracks, whatever you need. You can still do all that stuff. You can still bring that stuff to the hospital with you. So make sure you bring those things to calm you down, and you can call people. You can have someone to talk to while you're there, so I just try and remind them of all those things, even though it's a little challenging and it is scary. Like, you can still have a safe birth. You can still have everything be okay. You just have to, like get there, which is hard. I know it's hard, but that's kind of the tip that I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of prenatal fitness classes and meditation things with my clients because I feel like that's the best way to just release stress and take your mind off of these things. And I encourage them to do that, close to the birth and when they're in labor, just to kind of remember all those tricks and tactics and apply them as best they can.
Yeah, they're definitely all great tips. And speaking of virtual class, I saw you just posted it. It was like the birth class twerk.
Birth twerk, yeah.
Yes, tell us about that.
Yes, well, one of the things that I'm super grateful for was like my last thing that I was able to do before COVID. I got it literally at the end of February. I did my prenatal and postnatal fitness specialist certification because it's something I'm into fitness and I've always wanted to do it with my clients. So I did that and I created my own class, which is called Birth Twerk. And it's it's kind of like a cardio / meditation / Kegeling and core breathing class, all the techniques that you use for birth. I call it Birth Twerk because I feel like movement during labor is so important, and I find that when I put my moms into twerk mode, it kind of distracts them from the pain. It's fun.
Wow.
And it's lively, so that's why I came up with that. Unfortunately, I've only been able to do them virtually because, like I said, this happened right before COVID, but it's actually been going pretty well. Like, people are really into it. My clients love it. So I'm hoping that once this is over, that's something I can expand and go into studios with and kind of do it there because it's really fun.
I love it. It sounds fun. Like, I low-key would love to take it.
You don't have to be pregnant. You can come and twerk too.
Yes. I love it. Well, I'm so glad to hear that through this whole situation, you have been pushing through and finding new ways to successfully implement this whole virtual sphere. So I'm proud of you, and I'm so glad that you were able to join us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. This was great. Thank you for doing this for us and always looking out for the community and making sure everyone gets their resources and can find help and support. Like what you do is so amazing. So thank you for sharing your gift with all of us because you're awesome. And you're a good host. You have to do more videos like this. Like you're awesome. Why don't we even do that?
I know. I was like, maybe something great will come out of this. So who knows?
I love it. Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, babe. You're welcome.